And good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Most Important Conversations, meditations. We run these meditations Monday through Friday every week, and each meditation begins with a short talk. The content and the theme of the talk is liberation, specifically liberating yourself from your conditioning. And it's the overarching theme, and the specific content of the talks each day are derived from our program Whole Life Architecture, which is a program that is helping people liberate themselves from their conditioning so that they can step into their power as powerful creators of a life by design, as opposed to merely tolerating their life by default. So our liberation meditations are designed to help unlock areas where you are constrained or you feel stuck or you're simply consuming life so that you can start to see a new path forward. We've been talking about creativity over the last month and a bit, and for the last week, we've started talking about the importance and the role of our perception as it pertains to creativity. And I'd like to chat just briefly this morning to continue to deepen our work around perception. And one of the things that we've been talking about is how you perceive what you believe. And when we think about our belief systems, most of us have not created our own belief systems. Our belief systems are inherited from our conditioning, from our friends, family, community. We kind of just pick them up, almost like collecting them as we go along. We observe what certain belief systems contribute to other people in terms of the benefits that they get, and then we may adopt those same belief systems because we conclude, well, we would get the benefits of that, or our belief systems are reinforced by our friends, family, and community because we believe that we need to believe what they believe in order to be accepted by the group and not ostracized. We may pick up belief systems even just through things we read or things we watch on television. We've done a lot of work inside of Whole Life Architecture on having people become really intentional about their mind diet. That is, what are you feeding your mind? We pay attention to what we feed our bodies, but are you paying attention to what you feed your mind? Whatever you feed your mind becomes your subconscious belief system, and your subconscious belief system will then determine what you perceive. You will perceive what you believe. Whatever you believe, confirmation bias in psychological literature tells us that we will then go out and perceive those things. We will find evidence for those things because our brain needs to be right, because when our brain is right, it is secure, it is safe. And so we want to be safe, we want to be secure, and so we want to find evidence for our belief systems, and so we will perceive that evidence in our external world. And then when we encounter someone who challenges our perception, or dare I say, even challenges even deeper our belief system, we usually find ourselves in a defensive posture at that point, where suddenly we feel we need to defend our belief system or defend what we are perceiving. And it must be true. And that must only be true for us, but it must be objectively true. In other words, we must persuade and convince the other person to believe, and therefore so they can perceive what we are perceiving. And this is how wars get started. We have one cultural group who has a certain belief system and is therefore perceiving the world in a certain way. And we are encountering another cultural group that is a different belief system and perceives their reality a different way. And it's not enough for us to just live and let live, as the saying goes, but we must, either by manipulation or by persuasion or by force, get the other side to see what we see. And the reason is because if they see something different and a different possibility exists, how can we be so certain in what we believe and in what we are perceiving? So they must be wrong. And we must get them to see it our way. And they're saying the same thing about you. And so really this is just a battle of two egos, because all the ego is identity. The ego is the identity that we get attached to, and we have cultural identities as well as individual identities. And so what you have when you have warfare are just the macro egos of two different cultures trying to assert that their belief system and their perception of reality is the so-called objective one that everyone needs to concur and agree with. But of course, this is ridiculous, because before the war started, there was already two different belief systems and two different perceptions, which in and of itself is evidence that neither belief system and neither perceptual framework is objectively true. In fact, this leads us into a whole exploration about the nature of truth to begin with, and whether it's even attainable and accessible to the average human being, which we teach in whole life architecture it is not. That no human being can know and access the so-called absolute truth about anything, whatever absolute truth even means. We know from Einstein's work that everything is relative in physics, and it is also the case in the human experience. Everything is relative. And so coming back to yourself, you have certain belief systems, you have certain perceptions that your friends, family, and community have taught you, but they may be out of alignment with you. They may not speak to you. They may not be true for you. And yet you've been tolerating them and retrofitting yourself into them for, in many cases, years, merely tolerating the life by default that emerges as a result of that behavior. The invitation and the opportunity is to get that you don't have to keep doing this, that you can actually be the creator of your own belief system, which will shift your perception about who you are and your relationship to the world and what matters to you. You can completely transform yourself from the inside out, and with it, you will transform your entire life. That doesn't mean there aren't things that will need to be let go of. That doesn't mean there won't be a sense of loss. There might be grief. You may have, for example, made friends with a whole bunch of people who you've just been merely tolerating out of convenience. And when you realize that these aren't the kind of people that truly make you come alive, you may conclude, you know what, I need new friends. I need to connect to a new community. And it doesn't mean that they were bad people. It doesn't mean that you need to break it off in a violent or an aggressive way. You don't need to blame them. You can just gracefully acknowledge that I've been living someone else's life. I've been engaging with people who never aligned with me, but it was just convenient and I didn't want to be alone. That's an example. These same examples can apply to any area of our life, in terms of our career, our relationships, our health, our money, our lifestyle. Whatever you're perceiving in your life right now is based on what you believe buried in your subconscious. So the way to shift that is to start introducing new experiences, new information, new thinking that will reprogram your subconscious mind, your belief systems, which will then cause you, as I was saying yesterday, to see things that occur to you as new, almost like you manifested them. But you didn't manifest them. You recreated the perceptual filter of your brain. We all have a perceptual filter to be able to let in new data points. So if you think about what a filter does, it lets certain things through and blocks other things. We all have a perceptual filter that conforms to our belief systems. Whatever we believe and acknowledge as quote unquote true for us, data that supports that will penetrate and move through our perceptual filter. Whatever doesn't conform to our belief system or challenges our belief system will usually be blocked by the perceptual filter. And yet it is this very same data and information which may be helpful in us expanding our perception and having a new experience, which could change our belief system and bring our life into more alignment. But the way that the brain operates as sort of an automatic unconscious level is that it blocks these data points, this information. And so these become blind spots. We all have blind spots. We all have areas of our life where if only we had new data that could penetrate our perceptual filter, we may have drawn a different conclusion. But because we don't have that data, we're blind and we can't see the other possibilities. And so as you think about yourself as a creator, this is one of the core, fundamental, and foundational precepts that we must get our arms around. That if we're going to create anything new in the world without, out there, in the world of our effects and the world we experience and the world we interact with, the of the world dynamics, it begins with taking responsibility and ownership over our very belief system. What do you believe about anything? What do you believe about health? What do you believe about relationships? What do you believe about career, the economy, power dynamics in the world? What do you believe about your own relationship? What do you believe about your own diet? What do you believe about your own career or your own business that you're running? We have so many beliefs because every action we take, underneath, if we go deep enough, there's a belief system at the root of that action. Every action you take. It's been said that the average human being thinks 30,000 thoughts a day. You don't remember most of those thoughts. Your brain is thinking you. Those thoughts are connected to a belief system, which are then informing what you perceive, which then lead to new thoughts, which recursively reinforce the belief system, which leads to yet another perception of evidence of why you're quote unquote right. And on it goes. We're in this recursive dance of just proving ourselves right all day long. Not objectively right, but right in the sense of whatever we're seeing is conforming to our belief system, and so then we are confident in our rightness. And whenever someone challenges us, our ego gets bent out of shape. Our shoulders come up. We want to fight. We want to protect. We want to defend. We couldn't possibly be the case that we may be wrong in our perception, not objectively wrong, but that our assumption that our perception was the only possible way of viewing a situation isn't the case, leaves us a little insecure. And so there's two things I'd invite you to be able to walk away from this meditation this morning. One is an awareness that you as a creator have the ability to create your own belief system, which will alter your perception and create a life where you can, by design, ensure that you are in alignment. That's part number one. And the other one is to give consideration to where you are defensive about your belief system. Maybe you're not aware that it's your belief system you're defensive of, but you're defensive about people's opinions about how you live, defensive about maybe beliefs that you have, defensive about actions that you're taking. They wouldn't take that action and you feel like you need to defend it. Start to become aware of where those triggers are for you and get curious about the belief system underneath it and how it is contributing to a perceptual filter that's creating a blind spot for you. I'd invite us to look at that this morning. We're going to move into our meditation, and this morning's meditation is a watcher-observer meditation. A watcher-observer meditation is where we practice watching and observing our thoughts and emotions without being enrolled in them, without chasing them, without being attached to them, without ruminating on them. We just observe them because our brain thinks 30,000 thoughts a day, most of which you don't remember. It just thinks. That's what it does. You don't need to attend to every thought. although most people are a walking habitual unconscious reaction to every thought and thing that occurs to them in their day. That's no way to live a life. So the watcher observer meditation helps us develop the skill to be able to be in the world but not of it. We have the ability to observe and watch things without becoming emotionally enrolled and invested in them, without being cognitively enrolled and invested in them. It invites space, creates the opportunity for curiosity, and it becomes a superpower in a world where everyone is reacting, because suddenly, with the space of being able to just watch and observe and not react, you then have choice to respond or not. There's a difference between reacting and responding. And so be seated in a comfortable position, taking a few deep cleansing breaths. And for the next few minutes, you're just going to sit quietly, peacefully, keeping your mind as clear as possible. And when a thought emerges, don't chase it, don't ruminate on it. Allow it to just pass by your awareness like a cloud in the sky. Acknowledge it. If it's pestering you and won't go away, acknowledge, okay, planning, worry, anxiety, whatever it is for you, whatever the thought is. You might have forgot to do something. Acknowledge it. You'll handle it after the meditation. Or you might have emotions that arise with certain thoughts. Don't suppress or repress the emotions, but simply allow them to rise and fall. The average emotion has about a 90-second life cycle. It's our stories around our feelings that keep them alive for years. Let the emotion rise and fall. Feel it. You might feel bad. You might feel glad. You might feel happy. You might feel sad. Whatever it is, allow it to come in. Feel it. Acknowledge it. Take a deep breath and let it go, and continue to just keep your mind open, observing and watching as more thoughts come and go, as more emotions rise and fall. For the next few minutes, enjoy the power, the transformative power of space. Space in your mind, space in your heart. And I'll see you all in a few minutes. And welcome back, everybody. Reconnecting to the world without from the spacious world within that you've just spent some time in. I'd like to invite you to consider any insights you may have gotten around the talk that we started with today, or even just around any thoughts that may have come up for you. And as you go about your day, see if you can stay connected to this watcher-observer state. See if you can stay connected to not being in reaction. See if you can stay connected to the spaciousness you feel in your body, in your mind right now. See how long you can stay connected to that as you go back to into the of the world dynamics. With each passing day that you practice this, you'll be able to do it longer and longer and stay connected to that spaciousness. I want to wish you all a wonderful day, and we will continue our meditations tomorrow with a guided neurosculpting meditation.